we're going to be very careful with how we go about it, and we want to make sure that we have the best possible results and reduce the risk as much as possible on these drill holes for our shareholders and stakeholders. So we've learned an incredible amount about Kerry itself even over the past few months. I need to get the company funded to allow Christian and his team to go out and do what he does best. And he's been a part of 3 separate silver discoveries within Peru before. So my best case scenario is to give him the reins, take it, and go and make that discovery for us.
The Financial Survival Network. Now more than ever. The Financial Survival Network.
Welcome. This is Financial Survival Network, and I'm Kerry Lutz, your host. We're here to get an update on Tier 1 Silver, and we're with CEO, President Peter Dembicki, Senior Vice President, Exploration, Christian Rios. Peter, we need to talk about this market. I don't think any of us have ever quite seen anything like it, but the company's moving ahead. You raised $6 million. I mean, that's quite an accomplishment considering the turmoil and the tumult that we've been through over the past 6 weeks.
Yeah, Kerry, good to be back. We've been through these types of uncertainty, eras in the market a lot in the last, 10 to 15 years. I mean, I can draw on my experience of being an investment advisor at Canaccord, going through these times where it's kind of hands off. Everyone's just kind of watching to see what plays out before, they find a hook into something or we see something run. For us, we still remain firm believers in the precious metal space. I mean, every box is checked off as to why precious metals should be rocketing right now. But I think one of the biggest things is the strength, or the relative strength, I should say, of the US dollar compared to some of the other global currencies out there. And I think that's really the one that's keeping a lid on the precious metals from really going off, because, when else have we ever seen inflation like this? And the precious metals are supposed to be your safe haven. So I do think the other shoe drops, and I think we do see a move higher in the second half of this year. For us in our financing, it was a real team effort, and really got to speak to the efforts of my chairman, Ivan Bevic, Christian, and of course our shareholder base, really, because the vast majority of our financing came from Tier 1 shareholders who are really doubling down, who believe in the project and they understand where the market is at. We're not special by any means. If you take a look at a lot of the companies in our space, a lot of our peers, and even look across at all different kind of sectors, where our share price is not indicative of the value of our project. When we launched Tier 1 Silver last June, silver was $30 an ounce. Things were just ripping and on fire. Companies were changing their names from Gold Inc. to Silver Inc., wanting to catch that wave. And since then, we've seen silver, drop down into the $21 range. So, relatively speaking, our share price is sitting there. And, so it's a tough market right now. Everybody wants to see a huge win and a big amount of liquidity. But I think when things do turn, we're going to see a real vicious rip to the upside coming out of this thing. So I'm still very optimistic.
No doubt. Hey, Christian, great to see you again. So now you're firmly ensconced in the company. You've really gone over these projects. Tell us about your assessment now as opposed to several months ago, and please share with us what the plans are for exploration ahead.
Yeah, sure, Kerry. Thank you. Now, we started a few days ago mapping in the area of Cambaya. Cambaya is in the northern part, where is higher in elevation, higher topographically, and higher also in the system, in these epithermal veins. So we started mapping, also sampling. We're finding structures up to 10, 15 meters, which is very good. We're sampling those. We will have all these results, I would say, by the end of July, beginning of August. We are planning to send the samples to the lab at the beginning of July to have those in the next 30 days, I would say. Also, we're focusing in Cambaya mainly and in the projection of the Sambalay corridor through Cambaya. Why there? Because we hit it in our last drill hole 16, more than a kilo silver equivalent, and also with some gold there component. So we're following that structure through Cambaya, where is higher in elevation. So we're doing that for the structures. And also we're planning to do, and we're talking with the geophysical company to start very possibly in August, the program of CSAMT that is planned for I would say 15 August approximately, and that will be focused in the central part of the deposit of the project to define these finger porphyries, to have one more tool for future drilling in that area, trying to find this giant that is in the same trend as the biggest deposits in Peru, Toquepala, Cuajones. So we need to find and define what is the meaning of these porphyry fingers that we found in last drilling, and this CSEMT program will help us. Also, our plan is to see the continuation of Tipal structure. Sambalay and Tipal are the main structure, the main corridors in the area where we had a very high grade, and also those are pointing towards Cambaya, which is higher in elevation, 400 meters, 500 meters above the other ones. So that's the plan, to focusing the extension of Sambalay, the extension of Tipal, and mainly to have good results in the Cambaya area, which is higher in elevation.
Peter, when drilling ended, the first part of the program, really ended on a high note, and now we're back for the next year. Obviously, the licensing, things like that, moving ahead. What kind of desktop work brought in a consultant? I remember you mentioning last time. What have we learned more about these deposits, particularly Curabaya?
Yeah, so when we completed our drilling beginning of last December, I think we got results out early January from our last hole in our program, which is our best result. We weren't satisfied. Anytime we're going to take on a big project, anytime we're going to progress a project, we want as many eyes on this as possible. So we have our technical team that is second to none, but we also want an unbiased approach to go in there and take a look around and say, you guys are onto it, or you guys, maybe you're looking in the wrong direction, maybe look over here. So we didn't hire one, but we hired two world-renowned consultants that go and take site visits and do a huge data download of all of our drilling and all of our sampling to see if they could pick up something that maybe we missed. And for one, on the silver targets, it was a real story of erosion at Curabaya and the area that we're focused on. And so in this area where we're drilling within our FTA permitted allowable area, where we got our best hits, they were quite close to surface, quite shallow. And so there's something that was really driving that silver system to surface. And the consultants took one look and they said, listen, if you guys move, just as Christian said, north on the property, gives you another 500-meter window of preserved precious metal targets to go after. This is where you're going to have your best hits for your silver target. And not only that, I'm not sure if you guys didn't see it, you weren't looking for it, or you had the horse blinders on, you're just so focused on those silver targets, but there's every indication that there's a copper porphyry lurking nearby or directly underneath. So as Christian said, we have mapping and geophysics set out with the CSMAT to really hone in where that target is. If these are deeper holes, we want to make sure that we are really focused and methodical about our approach to this, because we know what we believe we have, and it's up to us to kind of screw this thing up. So we're going to be very careful with how we go about it, and we want to make sure that we have the best possible results and reduce the risk as much as possible on these drill holes for our shareholders and stakeholders. So we've learned an incredible amount about Curabaya itself even over the past few months. The fact that we had to go financing at this share price level, this valuation, yeah, it stings. It does. But I think, like I said, we're not special. The entire sector is pretty hurt. So my goal, Christian's goal is I need to get, the company funded to allow Christian and his team to go out and do what he does best. And he's been a part of 3 separate silver discoveries within Peru before. So my best case scenario is to give him the reins, take it, and go and make that discovery for us. And that's what we're really excited about. So it's going to be, a great end of the summer, into the fall, late fall, into the winter. We're going to have lots of exploration as we commence drilling and getting that going. So it truly is really exciting. We've learned so much more from when we started just about a year ago into the project.
Yeah, it's hard to believe, Peter, that it's only been a year.
I know. Yeah, lots has happened. Yeah, for sure.
So Christian, in search of the elusive porphyry, obviously that would be major news here. The consultants pointing you in the right direction for that?
Oh yeah, for sure. Because when they saw the core, for example, in the increase of molybdenum and also copper, in 3 of the drill holes. That's very important. In the deeper parts, having that increase in molybdenum and copper. Also, looking the same alteration of these porphyry fingers, porphyry dikes, the same as Cuajone have it, and also Toquepala with this secondary magnetite, K-feldspar. And also, all this, we have in the upper part, all these epithermal structures that are coming. It has a source, and the source is we're in the land of the giants, Toquepala, Cuajone, Quellaveco. So something is driving all these metals in silver, in gold. So that's why we have there a source. And we saw the evidences in these porphyry dikes. And they saw the same. And yeah, it's there. So we need to that's why we're going to apply this geophysical tool to have one more tool to get better evidences and to drill in the best areas.
All right. Well, makes a lot of sense. It's definitely a focused, methodical approach. Peter, I know you're not, you can't predict the future, but with what the sector's done, being close to all-time lows, something's got to change here.
Yeah, and my crystal ball is in the shop right now being fixed. So I wish I could give you a time of when things are going to really turn. But we got to keep our head down, do our job, and find a true discovery here. And that's our job. And as long as the capital markets allow us to do that, that's what we're going to go ahead and do. One thing, coming off of PDAC and some of the conferences that we had over the last couple of weeks, and having Christian with us in Toronto for that as well, was truly encouraging to see how many people are watching us. And when I say people, I'm referring to the majors. We are on their radar 100%, and they want us more than anything to succeed. Junior exploration companies serve a purpose for these majors to go out and find it, so they don't have to do that work. And it was really encouraging to see how many big names out there are watching us and rooting for us to get this thing done. So it's so unlike other sectors where you have a proprietary technology or a product and you think you've got it, and you have to do a lot of hand waving to get the attention of those senior companies to come and take a look at you. We're the other way. We have everybody watching us. The table is set. So it's really up for us to just prove this out. And then things get really exciting once we start hitting. So we're in a good spot. The market doesn't feel like it, but let us do what we got to do is go and find silver and potentially copper as well. So let's see how it all plays out for the rest of the summer and the fall. I'm twice as excited as I was this time last year. And the markets are tough to fight against. The current is going the other way, but lots of stuff to play out here. So I can't call it when it's going to turn. All I can say is let's go and make that discovery, and I think that'll do all the talking for us.
Well, as a wise market sage once said, markets will tend to fluctuate. And hey, I'm still a shareholder, not giving up my shares on this, especially in light of the results that you achieved last year. Christian, really appears you're like you said, Peter, you're on the brink of a major discovery.
Yeah, absolutely. It's we're in such a good spot, and if you think about it, I know we set the table in high fashion when we first launched, but to think about what we accomplished in that first round of drilling, this is a piece of land that had never been touched before. To come away with 16 holes over 5,000 meters, 30% of which were economic in grade, and a couple bonanza grade hits. Anyone would wish for those kind of results on a first pass. Usually that's just reserved to get a kind of geological sense that there's something there, something occurring. So to come away with those silver numbers is huge. To come away with the potential of this copper porphyry, find me another company that has these opportunities in it. And this is just Curabaya, right? And we have our Hurricane Silver Project North, which we have guys on the ground now conducting more sampling and testing. And that has emerged to be another base metal story coming out of that silver project as well. So we're really fortunate.
Yeah. Christian, when you look at the historic drill results there, and then they just kind of walked away and left it, if you got those kind of results today, nobody's walking away from a project like that.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Yeah, in the case of Hurricane, it's very interesting because regionally, this is a mineralized regional area. We have 13 targets. We have access now for 6 targets in 2 communities. we have the area of the southern part, which is these orogenic silver veins, plus silver, plus lead, plus zinc, and also to the western part of this silver structure, we're finding more copper. And in the northern part, we have this area that has historical drilling, Ñañohuayco and San Cipriano. And these results is more than 30%, or I would say 40% economic grades, very high grades. It's very strange, very rare, because in Peru we don't have these deposits, nickel, copper. It's very strange, and that's what it makes very interesting, this area. And high grade, more than 2% copper, more than 0.6% nickel, more than 300 ppm cobalt, and we have PGE elements, platinum, palladium, gold, also more than a gram combined. So that's very important, very high grade, and that's why it makes very interesting this district. The plan now is to extend the area that has historical drilling, to extend to follow that in intrusive, ultramafic intrusive, that is a seal. It's more like this horizontal body shape. So we need to continue looking at that. And also we have 5 geophysical anomalies, chargeability, magnetics, and also conductive anomalies that is interesting also to test. Never been tested before, so we need to walk in the upper part of these anomalies, take samples from the upper part, and to test and drill in these areas. So it's very interesting because the potential is huge. And I would say it's the best nickel cobalt project in Peru, and also the only one. And it's a district, having 13 targets. That's very important and very unique case that makes hurricane with those high-grade values.
Yeah, and coming from you, Christian, that really means a lot with your extensive experience throughout the country in mining. Appreciate you both coming on. Look, go over to tier1silver.com. Sign up for notifications. The news is going to be coming fast and furious. Ticker symbols in the US, it's TSLVF. And of course, in Canada, it's TSLV. If you got any questions, you can shoot me an email, kl@kerrylutz.com. Gentlemen, Peter, thanks for coming by. Christian, good seeing you again.
Thanks, Kerry.
Thank you.
The Financial Survival Network.